Hey guys, this is the Cold Steel Voyager XL. I got this knife before I got the 4MAX Scout, and the reason why I got it was curiosity. I thought it was going to be a cool knife to have, play around with it, maybe show it on YouTube, and definitely a good conversation starter because a lot of people know I like knives. They keep asking me, what's the latest one you bought? And yeah, this is definitely a good conversation starter. I never thought I was going to carry it and use it. Not as much as I ended up carrying it and using it. Besides its obvious purpose, I thought this might actually be pretty good for taking out here and testing it. See how it will do. What surprised me immediately with it was how lightweight it felt. It felt much more lightweight than I would have thought it would. That is mainly due to the aluminum liners. Now the 4MAX Scout has stainless steel liners, which give it a lot of extra weight. And when you're chopping hardwoods, this one, also because of the shape of the handle, feels better, and you can put more power behind it. Also, a good tip would be try using the Spartan John's Pinky Lanyard patent pending. Gives you way more momentum, and it does feel safer in hand. Oversized, in case you want to use it with gloves. For this, you don't need to use a lanyard, and I hardly do. Because of the shape of the handle, it feels very secure in hand. The first time I used it was clearing a lot of brush because I had to mend a fence, and I cut through small trees, a lot of tall grass, and some wires. Now in hitting metal wire, AUS 10A did chip, but then again, so would any other steel. I think chopping is one of the most violent things you can do to an edge. If it's too hard and too thin, you'll get big chips. If it's thicker, you might get microchips, or you might get a warp in a blade if it's not that hard. Batoning can stress the locking mechanism, but cold steel does use the triad lock. Now, if I have to baton a locking mechanism, a folder, I would prefer to baton the axis lock. I know those have their issues because omega springs can break. I've never had that happen, but a lot of people have. However, with the cold steel triad lock, I feel pretty safe. Even when chopping, with some locking mechanisms, when you get hung up in a piece of wood and you retrieve it, because of the shock, the locking mechanism might fail, and when you pull it back, it might actually close on your fingers. I don't feel that fear when doing this with a triad lock. Not to say the possibility isn't there, I just think it's a lot less likely that would happen. The handle is very, very grippy, and you can see very contoured. So it does allow you for multiple grips. You can use this as a folder. You can use this as a folder as well. It does quite well. But they are very overbuilt. Most folders nowadays are very overbuilt. So I think that's just a great thing for YouTube testers, people like me who are curious. For chopping, this does very well. For batoning, it also does very well. I don't have to hit the locking mechanism because if I chop or baton things that are this big, the triad lock can take it. And I'm going to do some demonstrations now. When chopping green sticks, or sticks which are not that hard, you can probably get away with it without using gloves. And holding it like this gives you enough momentum that you can get a good bite. But if you want to get through it a bit faster, you're going to move down the handle, use these finger grooves right here, and have more momentum. Get a deeper bite, get over with whatever you have to cut much faster. Now I'm doing it like this, and you can see I got through this stick fairly quickly. But I did this before, and that's what happened. You're gonna get some blisters because this is not a handle which was made for these sorts of things. You could take some sandpaper to it, smoothen it out a bit. Maybe you'd have less problems with it. However, you could also use some gloves. I prefer using gloves because splinters, and I do have very sensitive hands. So let's go through the chopping motions here. This is very hard wood, and I'm probably going to spend some time with it. Now the 4 Max Scout could do a much better job. And if you don't have an axe or a bigger knife with you, with some more effort, this can do almost the same thing. Now, of course, there are advantages to having a folder. And I thought about it, and other people mentioned it. If you take a fixed blade with you, especially for out here, whenever you get back to civilization, you're not going to want that to have that attached to your belt. So you have to remove it. And this is why I have the 4 Max Scout. Because I also have the SE4. And who knows, maybe today, maybe the next time, I'd like to test them. See whether the 4 Max Scout and the SE4 can do roughly the same jobs. If you would aim your hits, not talk, and focus on the job at hand, you'll probably finish this job much faster. But I wanted to prove a point, so you can see, this is hardwood. This is, I would say, fairly easy to split, probably. Let's see. But difficult to chop. And like I said, I don't need to hit the locking mechanism. I can just hit the blade. Maybe give it some love taps. Yeah, well, it's gonna go through. And I did much harder things to this folder than this little piece of wood. Why? Out of curiosity. And because I don't have my axe with me, this comes in very handy. Now, of course, the right tool for the right job always makes sense. Using an axe would be much faster, but it's really far away. There are no chips in the blade. There are no bends in the blade. If it was overbuilt, and like I said, this was not its primary purpose, but if it was overbuilt, I think it should withstand some abuse. There are destruction tests on YouTube, and you can see how well this model held up. It is fantastic. Now, if you do want to jab it into a piece of wood, this is going to have a very safe and comfortable handle. You cannot slip on the blade because of the shape of the handle, and it does go in quite deep. You can put this in your pocket, and actually, just these are outdoor pants. They don't have the deepest of pockets, but yeah, the knife's in there together with my keys and other things, so you can conceal it quite easy. I'm not looking into, like I said, the primary purpose for which this knife was built, although I think it would definitely give you an advantage over a smaller blade, but that's for other people to talk about. As a brush clearing tool, a gardening tool, if you will, something to help you out in the woods. I think it's great. I don't know if I heard Cold Steel mention on their channel or in an interview, Oz 10A is a great working steel, I think they called it. And I would have to agree. I have, I think, 3 or 4 knives with Oz 10A steel, including this one. And it's fairly easy to sharpen, fairly easy to touch up, and it doesn't take damage. I thought after my last working session with this knife, I made a post about it on YouTube, I thought it was going to have some damage. And I did chop a lot of green and dry wood. I had my Fiskars X7. I said I was going to do the job with that, but I started with this one, with the Spartan John's Pinky Lanyard, patent pending, and it was surprisingly comfortable. After about half an hour, the lanyard did start cutting into my finger, but I did use 2 sets of gloves, and I just powered through it, and I was amazed about Oz 10A. Now, for the size of it, I was also pretty surprised at how thin the grind was. I think this is about 4 millimeters thick behind the edge, but it is a full flat ground blade. So this is 4 millimeters at the spine, and behind the edge it's about 0.6 millimeters. That's as thick as an Endura. And because you can grab this knife in various hand holes for chopping, for general tasks, and even for finer tasks, you can actually make your feather sticks with this knife, make your wood shavings, start your fires. It doesn't do a very bad job. I did drop the edge angle. It came a bit steep. I think about maybe 25 degrees per side, which for such a big knife, it's not that bad. But I think 20 degrees per side would be a better edge angle for just about any outdoor blade. Now, chopping axes, I think, were traditionally sharpened at about 15 degrees per side. If you're to look at knives like Essie, we use 1095 steel. Essies are heat treated very well, by the way. They are heat treated a bit softer because you're going to be working wood, and this one is at about, I think, about 18 degrees per side. You can see how wide the edge is, but behind the edge, this is 1 millimeter. That's 40 thousandths of an inch thick. This is 0.6 millimeters, 24 thousandths of an inch thick. And of course, this is going to do a better job, but because the edge angle is smaller on this one, it's going to be easier to do your feather sticks. I plan to compare these two. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, hopefully today, but there are certain advantages to having this over this. The obvious one is you can just put that in your pocket. This one you have to have in a sheath. I carry the sheath horizontally, it's small on my back, and it's not really uncomfortable driving or walking around, but yeah, shirt does cover it. I don't want to walk around and have people look at that guy. So this is one of the advantages I see with this one. All the other Cold Steel features, you get the second pocket clip because the shape is asymmetrical. I've never, well, I would say 99% of the time I have not used the pocket clip. Out here I might hold keep this knife in this pocket, a small pocket, cargo pocket I think you call it, and keep it like that. And retrieving it is fairly easy. The texture is a bit aggressive, and if it bothers you, this I think they call it the GFN handle scales are easily modified. I never felt the need. I've had the knife for over 9 months now, maybe 10 months. And I think it's just fantastic. Now, I have to mention this. This blade is also asymmetrically ground. That means one side is steeper than the other. And looking at the edge, you might see that this is a nice V edge and this one is slightly convexed. Because I said, well, it's gonna be a bit steeper, I might as well remove some metal so it'll do a better job with chopping. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I haven't really tested that. However, for the price it comes with, sure, I would like a symmetrical grind, but for the price this one comes for, it's not that big of a deal. Really, it isn't. Now, if it'll cost, I don't know, double as much, I would have an issue. I would prefer G10 handle scales. I know that the Espada has, I think the newer ones also have OS10A or maybe S35EN and G10 handle scales, but they are a bit too expensive for me at the moment. I would like to test them, but this one is very affordable and it can do so many things. Honestly, I like it. I was very much impressed with this knife, and I carry it way more and use it way more than I would have thought. So yeah, maybe I'll put some specs into the description if you care, and links to more testing videos. Who knows? I hope you enjoyed the video. I don't know what you could have learned from this, but I hope it was at least entertaining to you. If you have any questions or comments about the Cold Steel Voyager XL, let me know in the comment section. I'll get to them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.